are going to discuss, in fact, better to say, to give a lecture, but very interesting subject, which I did a whole book about it, music and Kabbalah. In Hebrew it is called music and Kabbalah, but you have it also in English, music and Kabbalah. I don't have it with me here, so I cannot show it to you. But in this book I try to show a lot of ideas connected with music instruments, music words and conceptions that have to do with the music. And then, definitely, the connection between the notes and the spheres, 7 notes, 7 spheres, a lot about it. But in this lecture, I would like to concentrate on the instrument, musical instruments, and expressions or words, better to say, about music, what they express. So, first, let us start with 4 instruments, musical instruments, which are these are the basis, one can say, for prophets, as we saw in the book of Samuel, where we find the prophets coming with their musical instruments, and as the Bible says, 4 of them, which were the harp, which in Hebrew is nevel, kinnor, violin, but it's definitely not the violin of today. There are opinions which really say that the harp, which in the Bible is called nevel, is basically what we call today lute, which is very known musical instrument, a lot of Baroque music on it, very ancient instrument. In fact, I knew somebody who was really one of the best players on this instrument, Toronto, became really Orthodox Jew, interesting story about him. We did also together some concerts, I with the violin, with this lute, but he passed away, unfortunately. But really, if one heard, I don't know, if there are many musical records of this kind of music, there are definitely, but it is really something sublime, something that really, the music of it. This instrument that he used was 26, like God named, strings, amazingly. And to play with this is very difficult, with the fingers and using different fingers, different strings, very, very difficult. And the music came out very, very beautifully. So some say that this is really what is written in the Bible. Kinnor, nevel, kinnor, they say it is a harp, interesting. There are some opinions say that kinnor is really the harp. But whatever it is, the instruments are very, very, as one can say, sublime. It's the harp, the harp, the music of the harp, very special kind of music. So these were the 2 from the 4. So they came out to meet the soul. The story is with the nevel and kinnor, harp and violin. Let's just use these words of today. And then with the flute, chalil, and with the drum. Interesting, these 4 musical instruments were used by the prophets in order to get prophecy, because, in order to get prophecy, one has to elevate himself, to bring himself to very higher spiritual worlds. And this is through this music, right? Definitely. Not enough only playing, but when somebody has all the other conditions, so really the music helps him to achieve this high level. In fact, in the book of Isaiah, he's mentioned also those 4, but exactly for the opposite, speaking about people who spend their time bars, coffee places, and using this music definitely for the wrong things, because everything can be used for good and for bad. This God created in the world. The possibility of using things is a free choice, really. You can use things for good and for bad. Music, from one side, really can bring people to a very high level. But the other side, opposite. In fact, we know there's some of the great classical composers in the past died because of sicknesses which have to do with the sexual matter. Interesting, the explanation which they give, because pleasing music, and can bring you to such a level, lust and so on, very strong one, and feeling of like emptiness, after playing and so on, bring to this situation. Unfortunately, it is known. And also nowadays, there's stories about great conductor which behave not in the right way, but this is a result. In fact, it is so interesting to mention a verse in the Song of Songs which says, "Al ta'oru et ahava ad shechpat." Don't wake up, simulate love, unless simple in terpas, you will like it. But terpas in Hebrew also chefetz mean vessel. It means, the idea is, as Nachmanides says, that don't wake up, don't bring up, to simulate yourself, especially through music and so on, unless you will have the vessel to contain it. You see, so we have it, like Torah, studying Torah. So really, we know studying Torah, I can see that people study with singing, right, and really have the right feeling for all those things is Torah, chefetz. So if really one is in an elevated mood, which you can say, that you open a Gemara, Talmud, and study, or also some say Psalms and whatever. So this feeling, this emotion should be used in the right way. Otherwise, it is dangerous. If you don't have the vessel to contain things, it's dangerous. Electricity, everything should have the right vessel, to keep it going in the right way, not to cause damage. So, this is really the importance of music, as we said. And why 4 musical instruments? Why those one? So I think the Vilna Gaon says, beautiful idea about these 4 instruments. And he says the following. He says, we know quite well, there are 4 elements: earth, water, fire, and wind. Those are the basis of creation. And they are basically materialistic one, the material. Now, in order for the prophets at that time to go out of it, they need these new instruments. Why? Because they are exactly against these 4 elements. How? So the harp of today, which is a navel, can be the kinnor at that time, but this is a navel, the harp, is to do with element of water. Interesting why, but one of them has the strings, very big, very long. And all these conditions make the harp really sound like waves of water. It is known that Handel composed very famous piece of music, is called water underwater. Yeah? So it is to do with the element of water. Then, at that time, as we said, the kinnor was something that he used like today, the mandolin, the guitar. We are thinking on it, which is really to do with the element of fire, because like sparks can come out of this, and this is really to do with the element of fire. So navel, harp is water, and the lute is fire. Then we have the flute, which is very simple to see the connection of the element of air, right? while the drum is really to do with the simple physical, the element of earth. So these are the four, and in order to go out of these elements, so by music, this music really is like releasing the soul, the neshama, the soul, from the body, and then the prophet got what he's supposed to bring over down and come down with a message, but in order to get it from above, so you have to do and to use this for musical instruments. Interesting. So this is also why we found in the Bible, mainly you find the two, the first two which we said, which is the harp and lute, which is really in Hebrew, nevel v'chinor. Yeah, I can see many times David in the Psalm said, Urach vodi, make up my, vodi is the neshama. Urach vodu, a nevel v'chinor. Yeah, nevel v'chinor. With a nevel and the chinor. So, as we see, in other chapters also sometimes only the nevel, like we say, nevel asor, yeah, is more shir Shabbat, yeah, nevel asor, and nevel asor is a harp, maybe with 10 strings, that David used, sometimes use chinor only, it means all to do with the idea behind the sound, Sometimes it was necessary to emphasize nevel, sometimes chinor, some both of them. Now, also it's important to emphasize about the two instruments that David used, which was the nevel and chinor, are against two spheres. There is a sphere of wisdom and understanding. Interesting, wisdom and understanding. Bina, Chokhmah and Bina. You have that is a composition of both of them, but in fact you have Chokhmah and Bina, wisdom and understanding. So the nevel has to do with wisdom, like water, by the way, has to represent wisdom, while fire represents understanding. So David, in order to get kind of very high prophecy, whatever it is, he used both of them. Urach vodi, wake up my neshama, Ura nevel v'chinor, with the nevel and the chinor, Chokhmah and wisdom, with these two spheres, which is very high spheres, we know quite well, after there is a crown. So, as we see clearly here, the instrument have much higher goal, it means not simple thing, but really to elevate the man, to bring it to a higher level. Now, it is also interesting to point out the letters, the Hebrew letters, what is nevel, what is chinor. So nevel basically is nun, the letter nun. If you remember, nun represents 50 gates of understanding, 50 gates of purity. And lev and lamed vet is heart. And what the nevel represents is that the heart, the lev, will be full of light, of nun. Remember I said that the nun time in English also very likely to do with the nun in Hebrew, which represents 50 level of understanding light, nun, light, purity. So nevel, nun, lev, is the same letter, supposed to bring you this kind of light. You get through Chokhmah. Chinor, the letter Chinor, are combined 4 letters. So there are the letter Kaf, Vav, you can see Chinor, the letter first Kaf. The first letter in the word is Kaf, and then comes the letter Nun, and then Vav and Reish. It means interesting combinations, like we have inside the letter Vav, Kaf Vav, 26, the name of God, and then you have Nun Reish, candle, which represents the Neshama, like Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam. Yeah, the candle of God is the soul of man. So amazing. So really, what you have in the word Kinor, exactly what Kinor does, this musical instrument. It brings the Nun Reish, abbreviation of the Neshama, and the Nefesh and Ruach. Yeah, part of the soul of man. Yeah, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama are three. The other two which are, but the Kinor really brings into your Neshama, into your soul, Ruach, Nefesh. What it brings, Kafvav, godliness. Yeah, God, 26. That's the letter of God, also in English. G-O-D comes to 26 also. So, this is interesting. Like the navel brings the Nun into the heart, so this brings into the Neshama, into Ruach. Both of these instruments really are, as we said, connecting the Ruach, Neshama, the heart, to higher level. Now, also, there is a very interesting gematria which coming out from these two instruments. Nevel, Nun 50, Lamed 30 Bet, 50, so together 82. Kinor, Kaf 20, Nun 50, Vav 6 Resh, 276. 276 plus 82 bring you to 358, which is the numerical value, Gematria, of Mashiach. 80 is 300, you 10 Al-Chet, 380, Mashiach, unbelievable. Because this is exactly what Mashiach represents. He represents somebody who has this power of above, yeah, divine power. And this, by music, with these two instruments, one can achieve it. By the way, 358 is also the Gematria numerical for snake, because this is what we said, music used not in the right way. Yeah, when music used, unfortunately, to develop lust and so on, right? So it is provoking, bringing out the snake. But every number in Hebrew can be good and bad. 358 is also Barack Obama. Yeah, if you do the right thing, it will be like Trump. As I said, something of Mashiach, not really Mashiach, but anybody who helped Israel is like this, yeah. But the other side, unfortunately, is misuse. He was like a snake for Israel, did everything to harm them. So, by playing with these instruments, you know, which David really used, yeah, very often, as we said, one can bring Mashiach. And this brings people to do tshuva, to love God, to feel attached to God. So these are the two instruments which you, as I said, you see through Gematria, through the letter, and also, as we said, so close to the spheres of wisdom and understanding, which is water and fire. Now, Khalil, the flute, is the air. Air is a combination of fire and water. Yeah. You make fire and water, so you bring vapors. You have vapors. Elements of air come out of it. So this is really the instrument which really brings another stage to the music by flute. It brings some kind nicer music, you know, when you have the violin, you know, the lute, and the harp is nice, but, you know, together with the flute, yeah, beautiful music, you know. I myself used to play violin with some kamar music, chamber music, and, you know, chamber music is based on this combination of 3 or 4 instruments, you know, and this is the beautiful harmony that comes out from it. And the drum gives the rhythm, yeah. the rhythm. And this is it really, by this you have the full picture of the four instruments. So this is really the explanation of these instruments which was used by prophets, because they help the person to get out of these physical, materialistic elements. Now let us go more into other words which are used a lot for music. Shira, singing, and nigun also, and zemer, Shabbos, this is Mirot Shabbat, and Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat. This is really what we say, Shabbos. Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat, Shabbos, as a Mizmor and Shir. Why Shabbos especially? And what is the interpretation of this word, Mizmor and Shir? Now in Hebrew, Zemer is a song, but Zamer is also to prune. Mazmera is pruning. When you're pruning, branches, they call it Zamer. Then what you have more is Shira. Shira comes from to shear, to shear the air, the air. Shearing. Now what he has to do with music? Because with music, one is able to cut the physical covering from the soul, and the other one, which is a finer one, like, they're different when you shear the hair, or you cut the branches. So, and also the manner is in Kabbalistically, there are different klipot, klipot are the term, like covering, shells, which covers the neshama. One is very, very strong one very, very fine one. By the way, this is why the knot, egoz in Hebrew, egoz, the knot have really two shells, even more, but the outer one is very, very strong, very hard, and to break it is to work hard. Then inside you have other, which not so tough, not so hard. So the same thing with the neshama, there are klipot covering, different coverings, and we have to do everything to break them. This is really the task of the man, This is why learning Torah, help for it, and doing mitzvot. So therefore we have Mizmor, Zemer, which is really the harder to cut something harder, and then you have Shir, to shears, and this is really the purpose of also music. This music helps you to do. This one Shabbos, it is a main idea, main thing to sing, Zmirot Shabbat, songs of Shabbos, when you're eating, singing, Zmirot, beautiful songs. This is with Zemer and Shira on Shabbat. Mizmor Shir, Yom HaShabbat, Mizmor Zemer and Shir. Why? Because Shabbat we have an extra soul. If you prepare ourselves properly for Shabbat, and then in order to really to sense, to feel it, you have to lezamer, to sing. And this is why Sabbath is so connected with Zemer and Shir. Some say Shabbat, Bo Tezamer, Rabbi Yesh, Shabbat, but Tashir, but Tezamer. Important, Zmirot Shabbat. It's written that one should see, to sing all the three meals, the three meals, are against Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, very deep idea, Kabbalistically, and singing different songs for the morning, for the evening, the beginning, coming of Shabbat, and also the third meal, the fourth one, after Shabbat, Melave Malka. So this is really the meaning of the terms for music, Shir and Nigun. And Zemer, Nigun is a concept normally to do with playing music without words. And what is interesting in this is the build-up of the three letters. And there are three letters, the root of Nigun. Nun, Gimal, Nun. By the way, you can see the nun, the letter nun already, which represent very high level. You say the light and 50 gates of beauty, which we call, Sharei Tara, purity, but purity represents definitely brightness, the neshama, and understanding, 50 gates of understanding, the music, our Rebbe said us to understand things properly, you have to sing with it. And singing, if you go to yeshiva, you see singing, of the Gemara, because singing is helping to understand, to remember. I wrote a lot about it in my books, but this is why really very, very important. So Nagen have Nun, Gimal, Nun. Basically, if you take the abbreviation of it, it is Nun, which is Neshama, or Nefesh, both part of the Neshama of the soul, and Gimal is the Guf, the body, in which you have this. So by playing again, when you menagen, nigun, bring out this idea, Nun, Gimal, Nun. Also, what is interesting, besides the meaning of the letters, which is, he said, Nun, Gimal, it is not so common in Hebrew that you can read a word from the beginning to the end. It means, like Nagen, if you read it from right to left, Nagen. If you read from left to right, Nagen also, Now the idea behind it is that the real song, if you want to check what is a real song, what you have to do, to sing. And if you feel that you cannot stop, there are some songs that you cannot stop singing, It's a good sign. This shows that this song really has connection with the neshama. Interesting, Neshama is also nun shama. There is a nun, in the neshama. Okay, I don't want, I compose songs, and so one of my songs is called Shuvu Elai Vashuv Elachem. Come back to me, and I will come back to you. I think very nice song. It's sung by some choirs and so on. And also in the internet, if you put Shuvu Elai, in fact, in Glazerson music, you hear it, a nice song. So people told me that it was on the Simchas Torah, when people dancing and singing, so they told me that they sang for half an hour my song Shuvu Elai Vashuv Elachem. So I was very happy. It looked like it's a good song. So interesting, a lot of Kabbalah songs, by the way. Kabbalah songs, some of them, you cannot stop singing. And this is the idea behind the letter Nagon, which starts and finishes with the same letter. I mean, you can read it from the beginning, from right to left and left to right. So also interesting term in music, which is Nagen, Nigun, also convey very deep idea. So as we say, that this is really the beauty of the Hebrew letters, Hebrew words. We not find it in English, so term for singing or playing, but in Hebrew you have 10 expressions for singing, really, of joy and so on. In weddings, we have a blessing, and we sing Asher Bara, Sason v'Simcha, and Chedva. All this, really 10 expressions of joy. Sason, Simcha, Chedva, Zala, and Nigun, as we said, Shira, very expression. Each one represents really a different aspect of the spirit. The spheres, the neshama is built of spheres, 10 spheres. So the different expression really has to do. This is what I wrote in my book, Music and Kabbalah. This is really the riches, this is the beauty of the Hebrew language. So, I think we'll finish here. And in this lecture, beginning, I only want to give you an idea about music through the instruments, their names. But it's much, much more. In my book, Music and Kabbalah, which was translated also to other languages, Spanish, English, definitely Hebrew, Russian. So I try to show what music here is and why it's really in Judaism. Music is very, very important thing.